Hello and welcome to May. It's amazing how quickly this year is passing. Well, today I'm concentrating mainly on getting some vegetables out and preparing some more ground for sowing. So I've just put out some small cabbage plants. I've actually got some in the flower beds already as well, and I've probably got about another 20 plants to put out. I've also got a frame ready to go over this little bed here with some netting so I can try and keep the birds and butterflies away while they grow. Well, the first thing I'm going to show you today is the preparation of my seeds bed for planting my carrot seeds. Lots of things to do today, so I'd better get on. Right, well, this is my raised bed where we put the onion sets in the other week, and they're coming through quite nicely now, and I've got my garlic growing at this end, but I really want to prepare this middle section for the carrot seeds, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that now. Well, first thing I do is I take this little tool here, and this saves me actually going into the bed at all, and I'm just going to be breaking the ground up with this. And the ground is pretty good in here anyway, but we want it to be deep and loose. So what I've done is I've put a little bit of compost over the top of the ground here, and this will just work down into the ground as well to help it feed. And this will make it about 7 or 8 inches deep loose, which will be plenty long enough to grow some nice carrots. And I'll work this all the way over before I then take the top off and start to run that through my riddle. So I'll crack on with this for a while. Okay, well, I've prepared the surface now, and so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sprinkle very, very finely the carrot seeds over this surface here, and then we'll give it a little rake afterwards just to put them in contact with the ground. They don't need a great deal. And I'll just come around the other side, put a few on that side as well, and then we'll be ready to get some carrots growing. The ground is lovely and warm now, so it's the perfect time to just sow these directly outdoors. So that's the carrots on there. Now what we need to do is grab hold of the rake. So just gently move that back and forwards. Now spread them and put them in contact with the soil. Now we're due to get a little bit of rain later on, so I'll see how much it rains. If not, then I'll probably give them a water into position. I just need to go and get my label now, put that on there. Then we've got carrots growing here, onions growing here, and the garlic growing there. Terrific. Well, today I'm back in my greenhouse, and as much as I love the birds coming into my garden, it does appear that I've had a bit of a problem with the pigeons, and they have absolutely decimated my climbing beans. It's not too late, so I'm going to sow some more today. I'm going to sow them into pots in the greenhouse, get them to a decent size, and then plant them outside. So the first thing I'm going to do now is just plant a few beans. Well, today I'm going to be planting the beans into this pot here, and fortunately I've still got quite a few seeds left, and so I'm just going to be planting these fairly well spaced into this pot. See how many I can get in there, giving them a couple of 3 inches space in between each seed. So that gives me 2, 4, that gives me 6 in that pot. So if I do 2 pots like that, That will give me 12 plants, so I'm just going to cover those. As always, the compost is nice and moist in here, and I won't need to water these at all. Let me just grab a marker and we can mark those up. There we go, so I can just mark these up. Climbing beans. Keep those going in here for a couple of weeks until they're a decent size, and then we can put these out into the garden, and hopefully the pigeons won't feed on these ones. Well, it's hard to believe that 2 minutes ago I was digging a trench for my potatoes, and now I've taken shelter from thunder, rain and hail. Well, I'm now back into the main area of the veg garden. Yesterday I dug a small trench here to plant some potatoes yesterday. They're not normal ones, they're just potatoes from a bag in the kitchen that started sprouting. So I'm just going to grow one trench of them as a bit of an experiment. I had to stop yesterday because a massive thunderstorm and hail and rain all came over. But let me just show you the trench. I've put already some compost into the bottom, and there we have the trench just in here. It's around about 6-7 inches deep, and that's ready to take the potatoes, so I'm just going to put those in now. Well, these potatoes have got some massive shoots on them, so I'm just going to pop those into the ground and we'll just see how these go. Now, the main difference obviously between kitchen potatoes and your seed potatoes is these are not guaranteed to be disease free, so I'm keeping them apart, and I say I'm only growing them as an experiment. I'm going to pop these in around about 6 inches apart, and we will just see what we get from them. If we get some nice potatoes, I'll be very happy. In fact, it does look like I'm going to need 2 trenches here. I've got another 5 here, I've got 6 in there, so yes, we'll do a second trench. But first thing I'll do is I'll just cover these back in and get a label to mark up what we've got in here, so we get these nicely covered in. And the spare soil side here, I'm going to keep that just mounded up at the side, and I can use that for earthing up later as the shoots come through. And we'll see whether these grow or not. Right, I'd better go and get a label. Well, that's the second trench dug, so we'll just pop these last few potatoes into here, and we can hope that they're going to give us something. If they don't, it's no loss. This area here is where the polytunnel is going to go next year, and so we're going to be able to grow all year round veg, which I'm very, very much looking forward to. So the polytunnel is about 3 metres long by about 2 metres wide, so it'll cover most of this area, so we'll be making some different beds for the outside growing plants next year. Onwards we go. Now I've got those potatoes in, I'm just going to prepare these here to accept my peas. Now, peas we often assume are climbers, but they're not. They need something to cling on with their tendrils. So what I do is I just take some cut down canes, put in around the bottom of my poles, because they are going to need some assistance to grow. We then just take a little bit of string and we'll tie that on here. just a little tie. And then I take that all the way around these plants here. Bring that round the other side. Just generally a loose knot onto each of the canes, just to bring them together. That will help the peas on their first journey. And then I will take the string up here. This will just give them something to climb onto. Then I'll cut and knot that one. Pop that back onto the table for a second just to tie this off here. I found this system works quite well with my peas. Allows them to get some height, but it also gives them that support off the ground. I don't make this too tight, so that there's a little bit of movement in that, and we'll do that now also off the other sides. We'll just tie that underneath here. And we'll repeat the process again, and we'll do that for both of these canes, giving the peas a chance to grow. And there we have the supports ready for the peas to go in there. That'll be in a week or so's time when they're big enough. They're growing on in the greenhouse at the moment, so I'm quite pleased that that's going to be ready for them. So in that first little bed on the left hand side, we can just see some of the potatoes just starting to come through, the earlies that we put in. Then we've got the peas, then 2 rows of kitchen potatoes, and then that's going to be ready then further on when my replacement beans have grown, and they will be able to go into this area. So we're all ready to go. So, I've been wandering around the garden having a look at some of the wonderful flowers that are out at the moment. I've taken some photographs and I'll show you those at the end of the show, underneath the titles at the end of the show. But I'm really impressed with some of the flowers. And I've been so impressed that I've actually come now out to the utility garden to start making some improvements there, because it really is letting everything down at the moment. And even though I can't get my delivery of sand and cement that I want at the moment, I thought I could make a start clearing up and laying the areas out, and I'll show you what I'm doing now. And by the way, it will no longer be known as the utility garden. It's now going to be the courtyard garden. Here we go. So this is the area that I've started working on, and the slabs are not down in position properly. They're only just laid on the earth, and I've got to get the sand and cement underneath when I can get the delivery. But if I lay it all out and I level the area, so I've been clearing that sort of thing and turning it into that sort of thing. But then we will have our hanging baskets and our painted fences. This basket here is the first one, and there will be another one on that fence and another one on that fence there, and I'm sure with some planting just going in, if I can show you here and here, and we'll have some nice cottagey plants growing in this area, and I'm sure it's going to make a really big difference to this, which is now going to be called our courtyard garden. Well, it's nice to be able to sit here in our new courtyard garden, not completed but started, with a little bit of a fire going, and achieved a lot in today's episode. We've been in the vegetable patch. We've tried to plant those kitchen potatoes just to see how they're going to grow. We've sown our carrots. I've got some more beans sown, and hopefully everything's going to be really, really lovely for this summer that's coming forward to us. Now, the work that I'm doing here, I will show you how this progresses in the forthcoming episodes, and I'm really, really looking forward to being able to use this as a little sort of reception area to the garden, if you like. Now, in the next episode, I'll show you some more of what we're doing here. Also, how we're getting on with the vegetable garden and some of the beautiful flowers that are coming out in the garden at the moment. It's just so incredible. However, it's time to say goodbye for another episode. And I really, really do thank you for your company. It's greatly appreciated. And once again, your comments really, really do fill me with joy. Now, something else that fills me with joy is the fact that I've been able to go and get some wine. Yes. So, may I just say, your good health. Stay safe. Stay healthy. I love you all, and I'll see you soon. Cheers. Oh.